Today we are going to be reviewing this bad boy here, the Moza C2 steering wheel, as well as the Moza R9 V2 wheelbase. And we're going to see if these two products are worth the money, but also if you should put it into your sim racing arsenal. Now, before we jump into the review, I do want to state that Moza did send me this wheel and the wheelbase in order for me to review it. So this is not something that I paid with my own money, but that doesn't discredit me from giving you guys the truth on how it performed on 3 sim racing games. Now, these tests are only going to be for PC compatible games, as unfortunately I didn't have the adapter to put this onto the PlayStation, so we're just going to be testing out this wheel and wheelbase on the PC. All right, so getting started with the review, we have the unboxing experience. Now, Moza sent me 2 different boxes, one with the wheelbase and then one with the actual steering wheel, and what we're going to be opening up first is the wheelbase. So here's the R9 V2 wheelbase, comes with cables, all these, you know, fancy stuff that you have to have in order to make the thing actually work. And then once you take off this nice packaging off the top, you are introduced to the R9 Moza wheelbase. Now, this thing was actually a lot heavier than I was expecting. It weighs about 5 pounds in the hand, and when you put it onto the sim rig, you definitely are going to feel the weight, and then when you put it in your hands, you are definitely going to feel the weight as well. So you can see these are the ports that you can put in the back. You can put in an e-stop, a dash, a shifter, all these crazy things that you would want to put onto a wheelbase to give you the ultimate experience. But next thing we have here is the C2 version 2 wheel steering wheel. And this thing was a big boy. I was not expecting this wheel to be so big. I'm so used to steering wheels to be a lot smaller, but this thing is absolutely mega. This thing is like about the size of an actual road car steering wheel. Now, with this wheel and the wheelbase, they do come with carbon fiber reinforced composites, as well as Moza's quick release, which easily allows you to change your steering wheels in a matter of seconds, as well as an RGB sequential shifter light indicator for all my RGB guys out there. Now, when coming to the wheel, this thing is impressive. I was actually quite surprised on how well the build quality was, and when I put it in my hand for the first time, the leather just felt absolutely amazing, and I couldn't find any imperfections in the wheel, and just felt really heavy and very premium. Now, it comes with 4 different shifters. You got your regular shifters on the top for your paddle, and then you also have 2 clutches on the bottom, which actually shift a lot different than the paddle shifters. You can feel the resistance. But not only that, they came with dials on the bottom for traction control and brake bias, or whatever you guys want to program it to, as well as 4 additional buttons, and of course stickers. Who can go without the stickers, as I know that's what a lot of you guys want on your steering wheel. But yeah, this thing felt absolutely amazing onto the hand, and I was actually really ecstatic to try this out on the sim rig. Now, these two sitting side by side just complemented each other really well, and I felt like it can make any sim rig look awesome, especially with all the black. Now, when installing the Moza wheelbase, it was actually pretty simple, as all we had to do was remove the FANATEC DD off the rig. And once we installed the Moza, all it came with was 4 drill holes on the bottom, and so you just had to put in some bolts in there. And then once everything was tight and secured, we had the pleasure of removing this awesome and satisfying sticker. So after that pleasant removal of the sticker, the next thing we had to do was just install the wheel and then just attach the cables. Now, installing the wheel, I did have a little bit of issues with the quick release. Now, it might have just been my incomprehensive knowledge of how to put on a quick release wheel, but at first I was just having a lot of trouble. It took me about a couple minutes to put it on, but once I had it on, it was fixed and secured, and of course everything looked beautiful, especially when we powered it on. Now, the next thing I wanted to touch upon was the actual software of the Moza, and I was actually quite impressed, especially with this right here. So you have already presets for steering sensitivity, which is very useful, especially because some games require different sensitivities when it comes to the actual wheel. And I was actually really impressed on how well intuitive this software is. Now, this wheel will not be good if it didn't come with a good software, as majority of the time you're going to be fixing all your issues and adjusting settings on this software instead of on the wheel. And I have to say, the software was a great experience, and I'm happy that Moza put their time and effort into the software. Now, after having everything set up, it was time to finally test out the wheel and the wheelbase. Okay, so here we are on iRacing. This is actually the game that I've been really wanting to try out the wheel on. And to be quite honest, it feels really good. It's actually really smooth. I know with other wheelbases and other wheels, you get a little bit of jerkiness with the wheel. and it doesn't feel as smooth. But with this one, you could definitely feel all the bumps and crevices as I go around Daytona here. And we're racing in a car that's you have to be very precise on, which is the GTP Porsche. I feel majority of the bumps resonating through the wheel and through the wheelbase. It does feel a little bit weird because I'm used to driving more with a GT3 Formula 1 style wheels, but with this rounded wheel, it doesn't feel too odd. I definitely did lower down the force feedback on the wheel, and I feel like right now I just have it dialed into a good spot. I'm gonna try something now. Usually on iRacing, if I tried steering with one hand, the wheel just goes crazy like that, but with this wheel, it doesn't feel like it's wanting to go as crazy. Very smooth under the braking, especially on the fast turn into the first corner. And again, I'm not putting in a really fast lap time. I'm just trying this out. Shifting paddles feel really good as well. But yeah, I'm actually quite impressed. I'm not too keen on the button placement, as I do have to reach for some of the adjustment knobs, like the ones down here for the brake balance, and as well as the MGUK manager, which you can also change to traction control. That's one of the problems I feel like I can run into, is that these buttons up here, these are perfect. Like I can switch through a lot of different modes on the black box. I can put in my pit limiter as well as my headlight flasher, but the other buttons that are below, the ones that I wouldn't be using often, like some of my timetable stuff, resetting the car, they're all in a spot where I really have to move my hand to reach for it. But again, that's just the wheel. I'm pretty sure if I had a Formula 1 wheel or a GT3 wheel where everything is supposed to be close with a finger button pushing reach, I wouldn't be having that issue. But other than that, yeah, it feels really good. I really dig the force feedback that I'm getting with this game. It's actually kind of jarring because I'm so used to racing iRacing with the FANATEC, and it just gave me a whole different experience. And with this, it honestly feels like iRacing is a whole different game with the force feedback. One thing that I really like as well is that it's really easy to catch the car. There's been some times throughout these laps where I felt like the car was getting a lot of oversteer. I was losing the rear. But due to all the senses that I'm getting from the wheel and from the wheelbase, it's been easy to correct it. I don't feel like I'm overcorrecting the car. So you can see right there, I got a little bit of wheel spin coming out of the corner. It was very easy to correct. I didn't feel like I was ever out of control. Feels very precise as well. When I point the car towards a certain spot, it goes to that spot. So all in all, the wheel and the wheelbase felt really great on iRacing. I felt like I could point the car to where I wanted to, and it was doing exactly what I intended the car to do. Not only that, I felt majority of the bumps and crevices on the track, which is really great, something that you want to have a lot of feedback on when you are doing these races. And when the car would do a little bit of oversteering or just lose the back end, I was easily able to catch, especially because of the force feedback I was receiving on the wheel. So in conclusion, it was a very great experience on iRacing. Okay, so here we are on Assetto Corsa Competizione, and this is gonna be my first time driving with this wheel around here, of course around Bathurst, which is gonna be very interesting. But I'm not getting as much feedback as the other wheels I've had. It does feel very weird because it seems like you don't get that much feel in the initial turn in, but once you start getting a little bit more turn into the wheel, you can feel a little bit more. Definitely a lighter of a feel. I think we could just bump up the force feedback on this wheel. So we make our way to the mountain. Let's see how do the bumps. Car feels all right. Definitely feel the rumble strips through the vibration of the wheel. I think this is the best track to try this out at because it just has so many elevation changes. It feels very light. So it might just be that I need to adjust the settings a bit more to make it more to my comfort. But right now the force feedback is not all there. Okay, so this is our second attempt. I put up the gain on the game and also increased the force feedback on the wheel. And I'm getting a bit more satisfaction in the wheel. Doesn't feel like there's no force feedback in the small steering part. So like when I was steering it to the left and right like this, initially I wasn't getting any force feedback. So it just felt very weird. It felt like I wasn't even driving the car. But yeah, now it's starting to feel a little bit better. I'm really not getting a lot of feel from the bumps at the moment. Now, well, going up the hill, I am getting it. Down the straight, though, there are a little bit of bumps that I wasn't really getting on the wheel. It wasn't really feeding me that information, but now it feels better. Now I'm actually starting to get a lot of that satisfaction from the bumps and able to point the car where I wanted to. trying to wheel my way through here right now. Yeah, it feels very floaty. That's the best way I can explain it for ACC. It feels very floaty. I know I get a different satisfaction on other wheelbases. I feel like this wheelbase really complemented iRacing, but on ACC, maybe just because I haven't played it enough recently, it doesn't feel best. I want to get a little bit more information in the wheel. Now, increasing the force feedback, increasing the gain definitely helped out. Maybe I need to increase it more, but you definitely have to play with how much force feedback you want on this game. It's not like it's the worst thing. I'm still able to keep the car on the track. Up the mountain though, it feels great. I can definitely feel majority of the crevices and majority of the bumps. And again, the wheel is going where I want to. Definitely in the corners though, I feel it a lot. The corners feel great. The corners, I'm actually having to fight with the wheel, get a good satisfaction of maintaining the car. And the fact that I haven't crashed yet, and this is my first time racing around here, that's a really good sign. That means that the wheel is doing what it's supposed to be doing. That means that the wheelbase is giving me enough information to not feel like I'm oversteering the car or understeering the car. It's actually allowed me to drive the car and point it to where I want it to go. Again, just the only weird thing on this game right now is just down the straights. I feel like I'm not getting a lot of input. And it can be a little bit important with that, especially around ACC when it starts raining or the track conditions are really changing. You want to get every single bit of detail from the track. And when you're only getting the detail when you're making a turn that's more than 30 degrees to one way, and that's when you start feeling everything, I think that can definitely cause someone to drive incorrectly because they're not getting all the inputs, they're not getting a good feel for the car. I think if they can fix the straight line as well as the turning before the 30 degrees, then yeah, this wheel could be fantastic around here. But yeah, when I go through the corners and I'm having to actually put more lock into the wheel, that's when it feels really great. That's when I can get a good feel of the tires and I know where the limit's at. And as we keep driving, I'm actually finding more and more pace here. I'm feeling more and more confident with the wheel. So yeah, like I said, I think it's good. It's not great. There's definitely some room for improvement. Might have to be done with those settings, but for someone that's new and just getting into sim racing and doesn't want to mess around with the settings a lot, to get that amazing feel on the wheel, I feel like it should just already come preset with at least a really good setup. In conclusion, for ACC, I felt like this wheel didn't really complement this game that well. I don't know if it was just the settings I had on the game. I tried different settings afterwards to see if I can get it dialed up to a good driving feel, but unfortunately, I just couldn't get it dialed in with this wheelbase and the wheel. The cars just felt very floaty, and you got to remember, these are GT3 cars that are going to be fairly heavy, and if you're not getting a feedback or the feel of the weight of the car as you are transitioning into different corners, it can really mess you up, especially if you're just starting off on sim racing and don't know what to expect when the car gets loose. Not only was the feedback an issue on this game, but I also felt like for someone that is just starting off with sim racing, if you were to just connect this wheel and just start playing ACC and not make any adjustments to the handling, you're not going to have the best time, and you're going to have to put in an extensive amount of research to try to get the wheel to just feel great. And this can be an issue, especially if you were just a beginner, because you can run into the trap of accidentally messing up the settings for the steering wheel, and you just don't get a good positive experience on this game. So I would say it's an average experience, but definitely needs to be improved on ACC. Last game we had here was F123, and before we even got started playing the game, we actually had to start off the experience by putting in different inputs for each and every button on the steering wheel. Okay, so the last game that we have here is F123, and this is the one that I was really looking forward to trying out this wheel on, because I was seeing a lot of people that were using this wheelbase on this game, and it looked like it was actually really good. It actually looked like a lot of people were having a lot of fun, and it was performing really great. So let's see how this goes, as we're going to be doing a Grand Prix around my hometown of Las Vegas, putting in the clutch down, and away we go. So let's see how it feels. This is my first race, first time driving, so you gotta be patient with me. My driving isn't the best, and we already lost it. All right, attempt number 2. I do have to get used to this game because honestly, the acceleration on this game is really weird. The AI might be a bit too high for my speed here on this game, and honestly, it feels really good. It feels a little bit better than Assetto Corsa. I'm getting a lot more feedback on the wheel. Yeah, this is our first time on this game as Science tries to cover us here going into turn number 1, and I mean, it feels good. Luckily on the software you can change the game settings, and you can easily change the steering angle, and there's one permitted exactly for this game because this game used a 360 steering sensitivity, so you can easily just push that 360 on the software and change the way that the wheel feels. But as far as the wheelbase and how everything feels in the game, I'm getting a lot of feedback. And again, it's a lot better than what I was getting on Assetto Corsa. Yeah, not too shabby. I think the only thing that's hindering me right now is my ability to drive on this game. I definitely feel like it could still have a little bit more feedback in comparison to some other wheelbases. Definitely got the heavy feeling. I definitely feel like I'm driving a heavy F1 car, which is really weird because when I said a Corsa, I wasn't really getting that sensation that the car was heavy. It almost felt like the car was really light. But you could definitely get a lot of information with this wheel, especially down the straights. Normal curves are really satisfying to drive over. Yeah, I think I like this experience here on the game. That was a bit weird right there where I don't know if you guys saw. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you guys saw that, but yeah, that was a weird sensation right there that happened. It almost felt like I lost force feedback. Jesus, I'm terrible at this game. But yeah, like I said, it's not the worst feeling. I think it's really good through the corners into the straights. It was very weird that I lost some force feedback when I was turning the wheel to the right and I had really hard lock on a fast sweeping corner. So not sure if you race around like Baku or maybe through Suzuka, some of the fast corners right there, if you'll lose a little bit of force feedback. But yeah, again, it's good. It's all right on the game. Gives you just the right amount of feedback to be competitive. The only reason why we're doing so terrible is just because I'm bad at this game. But yeah. All right, so there we have it, guys. That was my review of the Moza R9 wheelbase as well as the C2 steering wheel. Now, again, I wanted to be as unbiased as I can, especially because Moza sent me out these products and give you guys an accurate review of what I thought of the wheelbase as well as the wheel. At the moment, currently the wheelbase is $399 while the wheel is $279 plus shipping. But yeah, I think it's a really good wheelbase and a really good wheel if you're looking for something on a premium end. But if you guys are just starting off with sim racing and you don't know quite if you want to drop that amount of money, there are cheaper alternatives in the Moza platform. And again, I'm really surprised on how well this is, as this is going to be a good competitor to other brands such as Simicube, FANATEC, stuff like that. But again, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video and tuning in. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, smash the subscribe button down below. Anyways, my name is Andrew. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and until then, peace.